Opportunity doesn't happen, you create them. In our lifetime, there are few important events that are very close to us, and also it's a life-changing event. Among those events, one is a first job interview, where we experience all kinds of mixed feelings, from butterflies in the stomach to shaking legs, are all unexpected stunts we do when we arrive to face our first job interview. Hello and welcome. I am Taqui Haider and you are listening to Inspiria Gyan series season 2 episode 8, and today I am going to take up a very important topic. A topic that is less talked about. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic of the discussion is how to crack an interview. And to speak on this topic, we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Mriganka Dutta. He's a very talented soft skills trainer. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mriganka.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so this is the second time you are arriving at my podcast. To begin with this podcast, my first question to you, that how one can introduce themselves, or how can I introduce myself during an interview?
So, the thing that happens in an interview is that before you go for the interview round, the interviewer who's sitting there already has your CV in his or her hand.
Mm-hmm.
So, whenever you go in an interview, the $1 million question that's asked to you is, tell me something about yourself. Now, the problem that we all face, or the place where we all go wrong, is we start talking about the things that are already mentioned in the CV.
That's right.
Like our hobbies, our skills,
Yeah.
and what are the achievements that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
The thing to notice here is that all of these things are already mentioned in your CV.
Yeah.
And your interviewer can already read those out. So the idea is to speak about something that grabs the attention of your audience,
Yes.
meaning your interviewer.
Yeah.
So, while introducing yourself, you need to talk about a particular skill that you have that you think that nobody else has. Like I'll give you an example.
Sure. Go ahead.
In one of my interviews, when I was asked that tell me something about yourself. So I went and I told them that I am a people's person. So the moment I said that I am a people's person, the interviewer who was reading my CV stopped reading it and looked at me.
Yes.
And he was, what do you mean?
And you know that this question will come.
Exactly.
And you are prepared.
Yeah.
And
So
they're very smart. Huh?
Yeah. So that was a hook that I threw in the
Yes.
ocean, and the fish caught it.
Yes.
And then I went on to explain to him as to why do I think that I am a people's person? It's because different people have businesses, and businesses are based on commodities or services. Now, the kind of business that I have, I deal with human beings. Don't take me wrong, but it's just that I am in the hospitality industry.
Okay.
So that is how the kind of dealings that I have, and I have been growing up looking and meeting people from different parts of the country, speaking different languages, different cultures, different beliefs. So I believe that I'm a people's person, meaning that I have a very high EQ, which is emotional intelligence, and I understand people's emotions way better than somebody else does. So now this is something that I will not mention in my CV. But the moment I put it out there in the interview, when the first question is asked to me, it grabs the attention of the interviewer. And then everything goes in a different direction. The way I would want the interview to go, it will go in that direction. But if I just go and say, hello, my name is Mriganka Dutta, I am from Siliguri, I have done my schooling from here and here, my college from here and there, he or she doesn't want to hear it. Because then what happens, the tone of the interview becomes very boring. And they will just ask you the basic questions that they had prepared and they wanted to ask you, and they'll say, we'll get back to you. Trust me, they will never get back to you.
Yeah, true.
So I think the best thing to say is something that is not there in the CV and something that grabs the attention of the interviewer.
Okay, so what happened after the interview?
Oh, nothing. After that, I of course got selected in the interview. I got selected in the interview, and then after that I worked there for a year or so, and then it was a good experience.
Okay, very nice to hear that. And what skills do you need to crack an interview? What skills would you like to suggest our audience to have in order to crack an interview?
Okay. Now, skills, there are a number of skills that you would want, that you need to have, or a person needs to possess in
Yeah.
order to crack an interview. But it all boils down to what woos the interviewer, where he or she thinks that you are the perfect fit for the job. Now, if you are listening to this podcast, I suggest you take a pen and paper, because I'm going to list down a few of the skills that are important.
That's right.
Now, one of the skills are the technical skills, of course,
Yeah.
right? Like whichever post that you're applying for, whatever it is that the company does, you need to have the technical skills to perform the daily activities.
Can you just elaborate this point?
Now, for example, if you are getting into, say, graphic designing, for example,
Okay.
you're applying for the post of a graphic designer, but you do not know how to use Photoshop, you don't know how to use Corel Draw.
Okay.
So then what are you going to do? Right?
True.
So those are the technical skills, which we call also the hard skills. So you need to have those skills, of course, in order to perform the daily activities regarding whatever your job is.
Yeah.
Then you have, of course, communication skills. You need to be able to ask questions, answer them adequately, understand what is being asked from you,
Okay.
and work accordingly. So communication skills, needlessly, it becomes a very, very important thing to have.
Okay.
After that, you have problem solving skills. Now, one thing that we need to understand, which is my take in for an interview, is that whenever an interview is happening, an interview is taking place because there is a set team
Yeah.
that is working. That is working towards a goal or towards the visions
That's right.
of the company. Now, all of a sudden, there is a vacancy there, meaning one particular piece of the puzzle is not working properly. So, the interview basically happens in order to fill up that piece so that the entire unit works very cohesively. Now, that is exactly what an interviewer is looking for, a perfect fit to the puzzle.
Yeah.
So that, because let's say today, if you have, like I have seen in my previous companies, that a person got interviewed and was selected and started working, but for some odd reason, that person is not fitting in with the team, with the existing team.
Okay.
And then suddenly a senior member of the team who gets very cross one day says that, it is either him or it is me.
Okay.
You choose. Now, no company wants to be in that situation.
Yeah.
So that is why whenever they're interviewing you, they are wanting to interview, they're wanting to find a perfect fit who will work coherently with the team and achieve the tasks together. So problem solving skills become a very, very important role, right? So you need to cite examples from your life where you faced a problem and how did you overcome it? What are the analytical skills or what are the ways how did your thought process work and how did you accomplish that task or how did you overcome that hurdle? So these problem solving skills are something which every interviewer is looking at.
That's right. And I just wanted to add here, I have also observed this thing because all these kind of corporate interviewer, they will ask you these kind of questions. Tell me the time where you have solved this problem, unexpected problem came to you, how did you able to deal with that? So if yes, just wanted to add you that sometimes the interviewer may ask, so you have to be ready to answer these questions as well during an interview.
Correct. And even more so, if you answer these questions with your personal life example, then it puts in a more added effect on the interviewer rather than just talking about a hypothetical situation. So even if you are a fresher, right, you would be thinking that I'm a fresher and I do not have experience. So how do I answer this question? Think about times where you were in your college and there was some problem, or you were managing your family business and you had some problem, or you were doing a project with your friends and you had some problem.
That's right.
Talk about those as well, because even those add value.
That's right. And our life is full of problems and at the same time solutions as well. So you have to give example related to your life as well.
Correct. Because that makes it more interpersonal.
That's right.
right? Then
Yeah.
moving on, you also need confidence and a positive attitude, of course, right? Because you need to sit straight, look at the interviewer in the eye, and you need to talk in a very confident way and have a very positive attitude towards whatever is being said to
Yeah.
you, right? Do not have a negative attitude, do not frown, of course, right? Always smile,
Yeah.
be gentle, be humble. So these are certain skills that you need. And one very, very important thing is research and preparation. One thing that whenever we go for an interview, is we know that research is very, very important. So
Yeah.
what people usually do is they only research the company, right? They go to the website of the company and they see the vision, the mission, the goals, and all of that, and that is it. But trust me, even the interviewer knows that you are going to see the website and then you're going to come. So one kind of research that I usually do for my interviews is that usually what happens is whenever there is an interview, you are being called for an interview, the HR is going to mail you.
Yeah.
So get in touch with the HR and ask the HR, who is my interviewer,
Okay.
or who is the audience that I'm going to address. If you get the name, very good. You can go to LinkedIn, search their profile and research about the person. And if they say that no, top management is going to be there, then again go to LinkedIn, write the name of the company and write top management, and say marketing head or senior marketing head or something like that, if you're going for marketing per se. So research about those people and see the kind of content that they share on LinkedIn, the kind of people they are, their hobbies, their interests. Yeah, research about them as well. Because when you come into the interview and you say that, sir, I really, really loved the post that you had shared the other day on LinkedIn regarding AI. I am also a person who's very interested in AI.
Wow.
Now, the moment you say that,
Yes.
your interviewer is impressed that,
That's
hey,
right.
this person has done some research. So that's the kind of research that you need to do before sitting for an interview.
And that will add, an extra marks.
Of course.
है ना? And one more thing that I just wanted to share. Yeah, most of the time they think that the HR who's sending them mail will take the interview.
Yes. Which
This
a
is the
wrong
assumption.
concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
So very important point you have made it here. So an interviewee can always ask. Maybe the assumption can be wrong as well.
Right.
What is the wrong in asking question?
Of course.
है ना? You will get a good reply. So yeah, go ahead.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
So these are few of the skills that comes in my mind when we talk about what are the skills that you need to crack an interview.
Okay, so you talk about the skills. Now the big question is that how do I impress the interviewer during the job interview?
Right. Now again, this is also quite similarly related to the things that I said on how to crack, but of course there are a few more things that you could do. Now, some things that sets you apart from the others, right? One of them is dress professionally, right? You need to be dressed professionally. Of course, there is a school of thought that says that how you dress does not matter. Like for an example, when I was working in Bangalore for the company that I had interviewed, when I sat for the interview, I saw that all the other candidates were informals and well groomed, and there I was with a face full of beard, and I was wearing a polo t-shirt and jeans. And guess who got selected? It was only me. So dressing professionally is there is a school of thought which might say that, hey, you don't need to dress professionally, but of course there is also a school of thought which always prefers people, those who dress professionally.
True.
Like in my first job, I still remember when we were having the induction, and the CEO came for a session. And as you know me, I am a person who always hones a complete face of beard. So, and I was wearing a maroon shirt. So the CEO comes in and points at me and says that, look at him, and do you think that I would want to buy anything from this from a person who has a face full of beard and a maroon shirt? That's what he said. And I felt very demotivated. But by the time the first quarter got over, I was the top performer and my sales records were off the charts. So there again, it always comes because there is the school of thought. So you never know. You wouldn't want to rub your interviewer in the wrong way by coming in shabbily dressed. So I would always say that, hey, unless you have something in you that where you know that no matter how you dress, your interviewer is going to select only you, unless you have that material in you, be properly dressed,
That's right.
be well groomed, and show them that you're interested for the
Yes,
job.
that's true.
Right? That is one of them.
Yeah.
Second is be on time. Be 5 minutes early, but not a
This is
minute
a big
late.
problem actually.
Oh, this is a very big problem, because in India, the way we work is we all talk about IST, and IST always works 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
No matter which
Sometimes
part.
half an hour.
Sometimes half an hour. Indeed. So, be on time, because it always shows your dedication. It shows sincerity. And it shows diligence. So, I always prefer, or this is something that I even practice myself, because I believe that punctuality is a skill, right? And it is something that comes with practice. You need to have a mindset to be punctual, and it takes and it needs efforts to be punctual. So you would want to be there 5 minutes early, but not a minute late, right? Because that throws a very positive light on your future prospects. Wherever you are, no matter what it is, always be early, be before time.
That's right.
Right? Just like the way we do for trains and even for our flights. We be before time, because we know that the train is not going to wait a minute after its departure time for us, right? So similarly, the way we go for trains and our other public transport, we should also go the same way for our interviews as well.
Yeah.
Then show enthusiasm, of course. You need to be asking questions. So one very good thing to do is usually during an interviewer towards the fag end of it, when the interviewer has done asking and talking about everything that there is, the interviewer would always say, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Now that is a time when usually people just want to get out of the room of the stressful situation, and they say, no, I don't have any questions. But that's a very wrong thing to do. The right way to go forward is you need to ask questions that you prepare beforehand and you come, right? Like, one of the questions that you can ask is, don't ask, so what is my salary going to be? That's the worst kind of question you can ask, right? And then again, of course, definitely do not ask questions like, sir, how many holidays am I going to get throughout the year? Do not ask those questions. But you can ask questions like, sir, what does a regular day at work look like? What are the tasks that I would have to do on a regular basis? Who are the kind of people that I will have to interact with on a daily basis in order to perform my tasks? So these are some questions that you can prepare and go and then ask them, because that will show enthusiasm. That will show that you're interested for the job, right? That will, again, as you said earlier, will give you better marks compared to the ones who said that, no, sir, I have no questions. Thank you very much. Right? So asking questions becomes very, very important. Then highlight your accomplishments, of course. Whatever accomplishments that you have had, there are, yes, your CV is a one-pager document, and you cannot put in all your accomplishments there. But whenever you have accomplishments that you have had in your life, somehow in the conversation, in between the answers, get your accomplishments pushed. Because the moment you push in your accomplishments, then the interest of the interviewer grows, and the interviewer starts asking you questions. And one very golden rule of an interview is that the moment your interview turns from KBC to Coffee with Karan, that is the time you know that you are going to get selected for the job.
Yeah.
Meaning, the moment your interview turns from a question-answer session to a conversation, that is when you know that you are going to get the job no matter what. Because your interviewer does not have time to spend with you. Your interviewer is going to interview close to 10 to 15 candidates on one day, right? He or she does not have time to give you. But if your interviewer is taking interest in wanting to know more about you, that means they are interested in hiring you. That means you are being favored. Yeah. And then you will see that your interview will go for half an hour, 1 hour, 90 minutes. And that is when, do not fret. If it is going for that long, just know that they are interested in listening to you. They're interested in getting to know you more because they want to find the perfect fit for you. They find you to be an interesting candidate. So the longer your interview goes, the better it is. The first interview that I bagged in my life during my placements, that interview went on for an hour. I remember our HOD just peeping through the keyhole of the door and trying to look as to what is going on inside. And when I came out, he was like, "Is everything fine? Did you fight with them inside?" I was like, "No, sir. Why will I fight with them? It was perfectly fine." You were like, "You know how long you were there for?" I was like, "How long?" You're like, "You were there for more than 45 minutes. And I was like, "Really?" It didn't feel like. And guess it was only me who was selected for the job. So that is where I realized that it has to be a conversation. It cannot be a question answer session. The only time when it becomes a conversation, that is when they're getting impressed. And that is how you bag a job. So these are a few of the things that you can do in order to impress at a job interview, right? Every point that I mentioned is pretty important. So I hope, dear listeners, you are sitting with a pen and paper and you are jotting down all these points, because this is going to come in handy whenever you go and sit for an interview.
That's right. I just wanted to add one thing here. There's a moment of silence when an interviewer is, going through your resume, right? And there's a moment of silence for 5 to 6 seconds, right?
Right.
In that 5 or 6 seconds, you can highlight your accomplishment. How do you say that? Is it a good idea? When there is a silence?
See, so the thing is, what I believe is, you need to be humble. When there is a silence, when they are reading, they are basically trying to figure out what questions they should ask you. They're trying to figure out, they're reading your CV and trying to figure out something interesting, because the first question that they asked you, which was, "Tell me about yourself," your answer was not very interesting. And that is why they're looking for something more interesting to ask you a question. If you start telling that, "Sir, I have done this, I have done that," they'll be like, "Oh, this person is just bragging about himself or herself." So you wouldn't want to do that. So the idea is to hit the nail on the head in the very first question, give an interesting answer, so that, next time there is no silence.
That's right. And this is quite similar question, that is, how to crack a face-to-face job interview confidently. Now, this question is talking about the tips that you can give it to them.
Right. So I'll just keep it short and simple, because most of them I've already spoken about. The first is research about the company, of course. Go to different portals like Glassdoor, etc. Go there, look at the reviews of the company, see what their employees are talking about, as how the company culture is, how is the management, how are the people that you work with. Read those reviews for yourself, right? So that you know where you are headed. Then practice some common interview questions that I said, right? Because those are some questions that you need to ask. Also, be prepared for the unexpected. Because in an interview, what happens is, the moment an interviewer finds you interesting, he or she is going to ask you to do something which is unexpected. Like, for example, in my first interview, I remember there was a projector in the room and there was a whiteboard. And I was asked that, "Sell this projector and this whiteboard which is there in your classroom to me for 3 lakh rupees. Now, as you know, that a projector does not cost 3 lakh and a whiteboard costs something around 1500 rupees. How do I sell it for 3 lakhs? So that is where you have to think on your feet, and you have to come up with something that impresses them. So be prepared for the unexpected, because you never know what's going to happen in an interview, right? Of course, be dressed appropriately, that I already said. Make eye contact and smile, right? Because when you smile, you give positive vibes. And as we know, vibes matter, right? So when you smile at your audience, at your interviewer will smile back at you. Right? Of course, if your interviewer is a pretty lady and you would want to smile, then be careful about how you're smiling. You wouldn't want to give the wrong vibes at the end of the day. So keep a smiling and a charming face. I have never been blessed with a pretty interviewer, trust me. But I always hoped I had one. But anyways, it was always somebody who was very somebody who was least interested to listen to me. But I had to, put on my best foot forward so that person knows that, okay, this guy is interesting. And be prepared. Be prepared about everything that can go and your way or not your way. Be there on time.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
So you have all these things, and one thing that many people do not do is, after an interview we completely forget about it, because we think that the company or the HR is going to reach out to us and give us a follow up and give us an answer as to whether we are selected or not. It does not work that way. What actually happens is, you need to do follow ups. Now, you do not want to call them every day. So right after the interview, send in a mail or send in a text message if that is how the communication has happened. So just show your enthusiasm, saying thank you for the opportunity. It was a great opportunity for me to understand about the job and to understand about what are the things that I need to be doing. Right, I'm really, really looking forward to be working and being a part of this team, so that we can all grow together,
Yeah.
or something like that, a follow-up message.
Yeah.
Right, and then if you get a reply, great. Don't get a reply, don't be disheartened. Wait for a couple of days and then get back to them that, hey, is there any answer about my candidature? Is there any update regarding my candidature?
Yeah.
And that's how they will get back to you, and that's how they will tell you whether you are selected or you're not, or whether you have to sit for another round or whatever it is. But that follow-up is very, very important.
That's right. And I hope that our audience is taking note of MD's definitely a very wonderful conversation. And this is not a question. I just wanted to ask you, would you like to say anything to our audience, any message you would like to give to them?
The one thing that I would like to tell to the ones listening is, in an interview, be yourself. Now, I understand this is a, thing that everybody says. Like, even if you watch a roadies audition also, there even Raghu and Rajiv is telling be yourself. But what do they mean by that? What they mean by that is that, you know what, buddy, you've come for the interview, right? But we have interviewed lakhs and thousands of people like you. So be yourself. Don't try to be someone whom you're not, because your interviewers are way smarter than you are.
That's right.
And they are easily going to catch you whenever it is you're being untruthful. One thing that I have always seen, I don't know if you've noticed or not, sir, is during a lie detector test, what happens is, there are those apparatus that is put in your fingers and everything, but there is always a camera that is placed focusing on your legs.
Okay.
Right? So that is something that you never get to see.
Okay.
So the way they figure out whether you're lying or not is by looking at your feet. Because the moment this is very interesting, it's a concept in body language that the moment you are lying, the moment you're being untruthful, your feet will twitch. They will either change their direction, or you will cross your feet, or you will do something. You will either put them forward or backward or whatever. So the moment your legs move, that is when you're being untruthful. That is when you're lying. And your interviewers know that. So the next time, whenever you're going for an interview, be humble, be gentle, and be yourself. If there is something that you don't know, be upfront and have that humility in you to tell them that, I'm really sorry, sir, but I do not know the answer to this question. But given a chance, if taught properly, I'm pretty sure that I can perform the task that you're asking me to do. So be humble if you do not know anything, because, hey, not everyone knows everything, right?
That's right.
So be that person. Do not show something that you're not.
Wow.
That is one advice I'd like to give.
Very nice. It was a very wonderful conversation with you. Thank you for joining us. And that's it from the podcast. In the next podcast, we'll meet some other guests. Till then, please take care of yourself. Thank you very much for listening in.